Hello. You should be wise enough not to be perturbed with things over which you don't have control, right? But must do things that you have control over. And wise enough to understand the difference between the two. Those things which you have control over and those things which you don't have control. And be happy with it. That's life. So why I started this whole thing is this particular question is that it's upon you to take the responsibility of your learning. And it is said that in today's context, when you talk of future fit leadership, there is a context. Leadership is always in a context. So being true to the context is real leadership. If the context is certain or uncertain today, you have to respond rather than react as per the current context. Is that clear? So if there is a future, there is a different context. So what is the different thing that makes the context different from the present one is something that we must understand. We have to conceptualize, we have to enunciate, and we have to execute according to the context of future. So future fitness means staying relevant, A. B, developing the context or understanding of that context, creating a roadmap, developing those skills, those competencies, and then once you have delivered those, actually execute the plan and be happy. Remain relevant to the future. Now for that, you have to understand what the future is. Am I right? Future is unpredictable and future is always been unpredictable. So let's understand certain risks we suffer from. That this world has times become very unproductive and unpredictable. It's VUCA times. Life on earth and life in principle was always VUCA. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We took it to be certain. So life was never certain. Yes. Of course, yeah, I'll do that. Just let me set the context. So VUCA was always there. Word was always VUCA. And we become fashionable to talk about VUCA. You understand? So we must not get swayed by certain myths that have spread. The world was always unpredictable. Future anyways is unpredictable. Right? As anybody can say that you can predict the future, you'll be fortune teller. You'll not be a strategist. You'll not be a leader. Am I right? So let's not do fortune telling. Future, what will it be? Nobody knows. Right? Let's be very clear. But it will be very different from what it is today because of certain reasons. And therefore, in 21st century, it is very relevant to talk about future fit leadership. And we have to make an attempt to understand and get the hang of what the future would be. Or even if you can't plan for it, because you can plan for things which are predictable, which are known. Am I right or wrong? Yes or no? You can plan for things which are predictable. Listen, there's a problem if you don't respond. If you're not involved, I might as well not talk. So you can't just make me speak alone, okay? My energy comes from when you respond. So you can plan things which are predictable. But if you can't plan, do you think you just sit back? No. You can always prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for things which you cannot know for sure, but you can have some understanding about what it would broadly be like based on what's happening. So that is the context of future. Is it agreed? So what we do today in these 1 or 2, 1 or 5 minutes that we have left now, we will be having a conversation around future fitness and particularly the context in which this future is evolving. It will become obvious that we will be discussing certain things, certain traits, certain attitudes of adaptiveness, of agility, and audacity. Adaptability is something, you kind of, get used to a new way of doing things. You follow the new rules, you follow the new game, and that's adapting to the context. Agility means what? Agility means being nimble-footed, being able to adapt, upgrade, modify, and change yourself at the moment. And you know why is this need for at the moment response? Because technology today is as disruptive as it is. The shelf life of technology is very short. Shelf life of an idea is even shorter. Understand this. It's key to your understanding the whole context of change. Because today, continual change is the business driver, not unlike earlier times. When the change was, of course, there. Change was always a constant. There was always change happening. But the speed of change was just almost horizontal or longitudinal, more or less, till the Industrial Revolution happened in 1757. Last 200 years then, 250 years, the rate of change increased, and that was the first Industrial Revolution, which was driven by steam, the second Industrial Revolution, which was driven by electricity, and the third that was driven by computers by 1960s and 70s and 80s. The web had come by 1980s and 90s, and therefore that digitization, this whole computerization is nothing new, because this was known to us even in 20th century. What was not known in 21st century or in the 20th century was this pace of change of digitization to the extent it has happened. It has not happened by accident. There has been convergence of several technologies. Now this you must understand, this being a part of Management and Technical Institute. What is this convergence all about? And we talk about fourth industrial revolution, you must have heard. All of you heard or not? You have heard about fourth industrial revolution? Yes or no? You have an opportunity to know now. Okay? That's fine. So you don't. See what has happened? We are in the midst of what is called the fourth industrial revolution. Now, what is this fourth industrial revolution driven by? The first, remember, was driven by steam engine. The processes became mechanized, things became possible for you to do in large scale. And then electricity 100 years later in 1850s, 1890s was developed. A lot of things that happened much faster. And there was some bit of mechanization, the pace of mechanization increased. Now what happened in the third industrial revolution? The cars were there, petroleum revolution took place, the roads were made, the ships were there, the railroads were built, there were aeroplanes coming in, driven by fossil fuel, driven by oil and gas and coal. Is that right? That was the process which continued till well into the 21st century. But what happened in 2000? Are you all aware about the year 2000 bug? Y2K bug is also another thing which you have to know. Year 2000 bug was that till the time computers, when we've known them, they always had, the particular way of mentioning the year or a date. Like today, if you were to say, what is the date today? Today is 5th December 2021. Now, if this was way back before 2000, we would have called 051221. That's all. You would have not written 1921 or 1999. Now imagine what would happen if the year 2000 comes. It would be equal to 0. The entire computation world would have just crashed because the value was assigned. That was not just a number, that was a value which had a part in the computerization process. So that was the Y2K bug. Now this was the biggest technological challenges that humanity has ever faced. Now comes the context people overcame. But technologists all over the world were mad and crazy, and they all overcame this challenge. And what happened instead, in the process of overcoming this challenge, the beautiful thing that happened was that there was an overkill of technology. And around 2000, 2007, what technological developments took place never took place in 5,000 years earlier. So by 2007, a simple internet one-way communication became a Web 3.0, 4.0, 5.0 applications. SAP, JD Edwards, those ERPs, Enterprise Resource Planning softwares. They were simple ones, but they became business performance platforms which had processes, problems, and solutions all fused into one on real-time basis. What was the internet of 2000 became by 2007 and made it look static and sterile as compared to the dynamic nature of the business performance platform that 2007. Now that is the pace of change. 7 years, it multiplied 1,000 times, more than that. The power of computers in the 2007, you have the iPhone, you have the Facebook, you have the Twitter, and these kind of things started developing, which meant, and they were governed by, the technological rule that was called the Moore's law. That's another third thing that you have to know. There were so many technology laws related to processing capacity doubling every 18 months. Now, this is the shelf life of technology. This is the background of shelf life technology being very strong. The Moore's law dictates that processing capacity of the software technology doubles up every 18 months, and the cost comes down by 50%. The iPhone that you have today, its cost and the computer cost, a desktop, sometime back in 1990s when we purchased our first ones, was almost 3 times more, but the capacity of iPhone is almost 1,000,000 times more than the computer. So this is called technological disruption. Moore's law is one law. There is Cambridge's law. There is Henry's law. There is Butter's law related to network. That capacity doubles up in the same pace. This whole digital marginalization and this whole digital, mode of transactions, that network, that capacity, that sensors, those IoTizations, they are the ones which are causing changes at a rate hitherto unknown to mankind. Now, this is, my friends, the context of technological disruption. This occurred already by 2007. So how many years have we led since then? You can imagine this 14 years. And what a havoc this technology has created. Now the situation is that this technology that we have today is almost godlike. And people say that there are 3 problems of humanity today. One is the Paleolithic emotions of those good old days from cavemen times. Our emotions have not changed with humans. Medieval institutions, our institutions have not changed to adapt, upgrade, modify, and change or match that requirement. And godlike technology is emerging. Now that is the cross over, that is the challenge for us. How do you create harmony between the Paleolithic emotions, the modernization of institutions, and using this godlike technology to secure your life? Now friends, this is the context of today's 21st century. And when you say the 4th industrial revolution, it is now dictated by convergence of 3 to 4 technologies. Cyberspace, you all know very well, better than me, you all are digital natives. I'm still a digital immigrant. So cyberspace, the physical space, which means, you can move cars, you can move robots, or robotic cars, you can kind of, do a lot of automation, and you can move real physical stuff from one place to another using technology, remote technology. You can manage a refrigerator, you can manage your home, you can manage so many things physically with technology, remotely. So cyberspace is communication using those IoT skills, using those computer skills, using the power of sensors. And you can manipulate. So there is a convergence of cyberspace, the physical space, they say the physical things, and the biosphere. The biosphere, what does it mean? They can get into your skin. Technology chip can now get into your skin. What do you mean when you say get into the skin? It can understand, and not only understand, it can know you much better than you know yourself. In today's context. If a chip is put in your body, it can monitor your body parameters, it can body your all kinds of things that are happening within the body, blood pressure to air pressure to whatever you want to measure within yourself. That is the key. And that is also dangerous. But the point is that this is called the starting of the 4th industrial revolution. When you say it's not just electricity or steam engine or computers doing the trick, but it's convergence of all these technologies which make so many things possible today. This is the world of possibilities. So the 4th industrial revolution is all about, connecting machines. When they say you connect several machines in an office space, say for example a manufacturing. There is a power plant. There is, in fact, a cement plant. There is a steel plant. There are so many different machines. They all get connected to each other. They start talking to each other. They get data, and while they get data, they are also storing the data and making meaning out of it, which is called machine learning. Get the point? This is machine learning. When machines, with the data they get, they are able to store the data and learn that process, and through that information, a very integrated theory of information says that they are able to decide, they take the decisions, and this is automation and robotization of manufacturing. This is the beauty, or you call it otherwise, of the fourth industrial revolution. IoTization, Internet of Things, is nothing but making two machines speak to each other, so that human intervention is not required. Machines can do it on their own. That's machine learning. Is that clear now? Now you understand what is Y2K bug? What was the Y2K bug? It was overcome. There was an overkill of technology. A. B. Fourth industrial revolution. It is automating all the machinery, the plants, and connecting cyberspace with physical spaces and the biospace. Connecting or convergence of the from cyberspace to physical space and the biospace. This is the fourth industrial revolution. And this is the context of continual change being the business driver. So everything now today, all the parameters, why the change is becoming more unmanageable. So you said, well, change has always been there, I can manage it. Change is becoming unmanageable because all the parameters that you think are important for us to understand and know are changing not sequentially one by one as they used to be during the bullock cart days or starting of the discovery of the fire and discovery of the wheel, and then the steam engine. They still happened at a pace that was sequential, one by one. You could manage the problems. Today they are happening simultaneously. Henry's law, Kaiser's law, Moore's law, Butter's law, they are all operating simultaneously. A convergence of several technologies. So this is opening up. Change is the business driver, which means change now today with respect to time is not just like this, it is exponential. It is changing not over a period of time, mind my words, because you keep hearing from people from so many sources, change is taking place and technology disruption without understanding. What is happening is that change is no longer taking place over a period of time, but at every given point. This is called exponential change. When with respect to time, change is taking place like this. Is it understood? Now, because I'll build up my talk on the basis of this understanding. Now then I'll not repeat. Is that clear? Any questions so far? Please be frank enough to ask if you not understood anything. Being wrong is not being wrong in this real world today. If you don't know, no problem. You can always know. But if you pretend you know and you don't know, there is a problem. Because that is something that you can control and you have not done. You have the umbrella, but you have not used it. Anyways, I assume that yes, you have understood. So good luck now. So what have you done now today? So business drivers continue to change. So what happens when change is not taking place sequentially but simultaneously? The complexity of the change becomes more. Am I right? And the magnitude of the change becomes more. Altogether, complexity as well as magnitude of change becomes more and more. It becomes more difficult for us to handle. Supposing in your own domestic requirements, you have everything happening simultaneously. Correct? It becomes too complex for you to handle. Wait. Let me come. Please come one by one. Problems in life, changes in life don't come one by one. They're coming simultaneously. You need to understand. You have to develop that agility, that adaptability, that upgradability, that modifiability, the changeability, which can accommodate all these things taken together simultaneously by connectivity. And this is what future fit leadership all about. How to handle this level of change when the change is no longer linearly possible. There's no linear change happening like this. That you could have drawn a straight line and you could linearly extrapolate the past. What happened during even the computer age of the bullock cart industrial age, first 2 and 3 industrial revolutions, was the change was taking place almost horizontally. But now it is taking place at every given point of time. It is not possible for you to linearly extrapolate the past into the future. You all are students of management, you must have done strategic planning. Strategic planning was based on analyzing the past and the current data, and predicting the future, assuming some bit of accommodation of change. marginal change somewhere, and you can extrapolate. Linear extrapolation died its death in 2007. That is why so many things are happening, and people are not able to understand the shelf life of technology is short, shelf life of an idea has become short. Linear extrapolation is dead. That's very important, because all our strategy of the future, the perspective planning, strategic planning, this is based on what? Linearly extrapolating the past. Of course, that does not mean, as one of the speakers is telling, not everything changes. There is something of continuity. Get the benefit of the past, but don't get burdened by it. This is the lesson for all of you. Because, friends, you all will not be looking or caring about or be concerned about the current world as it is, but the world that the future will hold to you. And the future is being shaped by non-linear changes. This is called the age of acceleration. Technology is disruptive. That's the most important possibility of change. Complexities of societies are increasing. And most above all, the climate change, the Mother Earth is being exploited beyond redemption, using the old technology of exploiting the resources. And we'll talk about exploiting and exploring. What is the strategy to manage the future? We would manage the past, and we have been managing today by exploiting the known things that we know. We know technology, which is of a very high order today. We know the processes of steel melting, steel creation, making aluminum, making the Sputniks, making the rockets, making the spaceships. All this is known today. And we have exploited the natural resources beyond redemption to the extent that now we have reached a point of almost what is called the sixth extinction event. Now you'll be surprised, what is the sixth extinction event? Does anybody know? Can know about what is the sixth extinction event being talked about? And scientists all over the world, and especially in COP26, that was held in Glasgow. Okay, no problem. So, sixth extinction event is now being predicted, and has been predicted not years later. There will be no end to it, or you cannot move into the 22nd century without facing the extinction by 2070. And you'll be surprised, what is this? Am I predicting doom? No. I'm the most, in fact, person is very optimistic. And I'm very sure this hope is there and we can save ourselves. Anybody can tell me what is the concentration of greenhouse gases today? What is the level of concentration? Any idea? Even vague guesses? Any number? There's nothing called right or wrong. 449 parts per 90 parts per million. 440 to 490 parts per million is the concentration of greenhouse gases. What are these greenhouse gases? Carbon dioxide, nitrous oxides, methane, and CFCs and HFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, which we use for refrigeration. So these are just 3-4 gases, that's all. And their concentration is reached to a level of 490 parts per million. You have any idea about what was the most manageable level of concentration till even as far back as 1950s? 300 parts per million. Now imagine, despite the Paris Accord and COP26 doing whatever it is, they talk about zero emission, right? They talk about zero emission by 2030, if you say 2040, 2050. Even if zero emission happens, what's going to happen to the environment and ecology? The concentration will remain at 490 parts per million or more if you don't. By the time we take to zero, it will always further drop. And this is consistent. So don't be under any myth that like news of Omicron, it could be true or not, it's a media hype. Climate change is a reality. There's no way you can verify it, you can just go around, you can just Google a project drawdown. And I would recommend all of you, please note in your, I'll allow you to use your mobile right now. You can, if you don't have a paper pencil, project drawdown is something that will make you future fit leader. Besides, I'll discuss all the strategies or whatever is future fit leadership. I've not even started by the topic. But this is very important for you to understand because future fit leadership depends on technological disruption, complexities of societies, and climate change that's happening, this age of acceleration. age of accelerated changes and all these two dimensions. Project Drawdown will tell you 101 ways to reverse global warming. That is the only plan ever created in history of humankind, despite all the UN and everybody doing all that stuff. Nobody has talked about reversing global warming. They have just talked about zero emission. The zero emission is not the solution. It has to be reverse global warming to below 300. The fifth extinction event, which occurred almost, say, people say, there are different assessments, about 60 million years ago. It was almost reaching 300 parts per million. So we should avoid that. We have to go down. It's a very difficult task. Even zero emission is not bad enough. That is even worse, but then we have to do it if we have to survive. So if we have to remain relevant, if we have to even exist in future as humans, as anything on earth, we have to do this. So friends, that's a good context now. What have we discussed summarily? Fourth industrial revolution, continual change taking place exponentially. Linearity has died its death. You cannot have linear extrapolation of the past, so that you cannot have an assessment of the future based on past data. You cannot exploit the known technologies alone. When you manage the future is shaped by three things that happen all the time. And evolutionary biology is very helpful for us to understand what future fit leadership should be, what adaptability should be. What does evolutionary biology tell us? Our genes, our DNA, that's the most adaptable ever known to anybody. And what happens with the way the things evolve, the humans evolve, all the species evolve, is that when we evolve, we create something new, we rearrange the existing, we delete certain parts of things which are not relevant anymore. We delete certain things, we rearrange certain things, and then we create something new. That is how DNA operates. Evolution happens that way, and that's most adaptable because the world is VUCA. The whole environment is VUCA, and just imagine the DNA has been able to survive. We call it the survival of the fittest. So if you have to remain fit to survive, adapting, upgrading, modifying, changing, taking a cue from the DNA. The way genes are adapted. That evolution has to be pursued. Now let's discuss the topic. I will be saying you've built such a big background, it's at times very important. Because you have to come on a plane, because these topics are generally not discussed and they cannot be given in one particular book. There's no book in which you can find it all together. So please pay attention. In fact, it's in your own interest. Now what happens whenever you're talking of future changes? There are three things happening. In the current world, what happened till the third industrial revolution, what was happening that 75% of whatever is would be preserved in the future. Every change happened. The steam engine happened. Before that, the agricultural revolution happened. After that, the electricity and the transport revolution took place. The digitalization took place. 75% of it, what is today, will be retained. 12 to 13% is cyclical. It comes and goes, like fashion. You know, old fashion coming up again. So it might again come back. And it was just about 15% that were novelties, new things. So you were able to adjust to this change. What is happening today? And in this context of digitization and the complexities that we have talked about, sequential, not sequential, but simultaneous changes, the complexity magnitude increasing, 75 to 78% is novelty today. Not known to us. And one of the speakers said very beautifully that by the time you become relevant to society, there will be many skills which you're required to have are not even known today. The jobs that you do will not even be known. They will all be in the category of 75% or novelty. They are not even known today. Don't be afraid. That's the good thing, actually. That's a good thing. And I'll tell you how to do it, how to make you successful, how to thrive, not just merely survive. So don't be afraid, but take the data first. 75% of novelties, 12 to 15% still will remain cyclical, and only 10 to 12% is something that will be business as usual, current continuity. So do you find the difference between today, yesterday, and future? Now you get the point? What is changing? 75% of new things are going to come. which you have no idea about today. So if you don't have any idea about, you cannot plan. Remember all that I said, I'll repeat, and you'll have to answer me if you have paid attention. And please feel free, there is no hesitation. And I'll tell you that, not knowing is not a problem today. Not knowing should be celebrated, and I'll tell you why. So, when you cannot plan, because it's unpredictable, you'll have to prepare yourself. And the route, as Joseph just talked about, was adapting, grading, using agility of systems, processes, their own agility, work agility, learning agility, and ultimately having audacious dreams, thinking big. Don't get let down or curbing yourself with the pressures of simultaneous changes. No. You still have the power, you have the competence within you to do it and make it to the next decade, next several decades, and next century. Now, coming to the point, one thing I said, not knowing and knowing here. Not knowing is not a problem. Failure is not an issue at all. Because most of you think that it's a problem, it's a big thing. If I have to have a startup, it will require a lot of capital. There'll be a lot of problems, there'll be a lot of hurdles. The government is not supportive, society is not supportive. I don't have that economic background, I don't have that financial background. Steve Jobs also never had any of these backgrounds. And he was able to deal with this technology, which was, million times developed by Moore's law and others, and he could do that. When he did not know how to do it. There was a time when he did not know what he had to do or what he could do it or what he was expected. So, adaptive leadership, in fact, is all about not knowing what needs to be done and existing or thriving in a situation where you do not know how to do it. What is adaptive leadership situation? Not or being expected to do things when you do not know how to do them. Expected to do things when you do not know what to do of them, how to do. So, we have to start with the fact that what is human learning? In fact, in today's world, there is so much to be known, so much is unexplored, that the more and more we know, the more and more we realize how less and less we all know about what more and more we need to know about. Now, this we have to hear once again. The more and more we know, the more and more we realize how less and less we know about what more and more we need to know. This universe, what is the proportion of known universe? 96% of this universe that we have is unknowable. You know why? It's all dark energy, dark matter. The 4% of knowable world, 99.99% of it is interstellar dust, if you don't understand. It's only 0.001% of the universe that we know. And not even know, that's the trillion of, those kind of, planets and stars and all the galaxies that we talk about. It's 0.03%, 0.001% of the known universe, which is material universe, atomic universe. So there's no harm not knowing much, There's always a stage where you do not know. When you do not know, so when you don't know what you do, simple. Learn. If you are ignorant, what is the solution? Know it. Ignorance means knowledge. How do you get knowledge? And where do you get knowledge from? Is now really simple. So now the discussion becomes very easy. With this background, don't be afraid to not know things. If you don't know, learn it. And that's the way we humans grow. And therefore, this model is also to be understood. How do we grow as humans? In our knowledge, in our understanding, in our responses. There is always a time when we are not even aware of what we do not know. Corona. We did not know, and therefore we were not even aware about it. So we were not competent to handle it also. So that's the stage. All of us have so many issues, so many coronas in our life, which we are not even aware of, if even exists. So we are incompetent to handle it. That's stage one. All of us start like this. And don't be kind of, too much concerned about, oh my God, this person knows it. No, this person, there was always a stage and I did not know. Worry about what I'm talking about today. I was unconsciously incompetent to handle what I did not know. And I told you, you do not know what you do not know. That's it. We are all humans. Now the second stage is you become aware of corona as a problem, and this is how it's very dangerous and it causes so many deaths, and this is a problem. We must learn to manage it. You take a decision to do what? Not to succumb, but to master it. And therefore, within 3 months, human effort. Imagine Y2K bug was overcome in almost 10 years. It was a great problem. 90s, they realized, early 90s only people realized, oh my God, what will happen when the 2000 year comes. But here we have realized Corona has told what to do. The world over, everybody got it together, and within 3 months, we were able to produce the vaccine, which was never done before in history. So we became what? And also competent to handle corona. So from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence, we are still not able to handle, find a medicine to it and solution to everything. So we are still in the age of incompetence. But over a period of time, we were able to vaccinate the large population of the world and things like that, and we are able to handle it well. We can say we are conscious of corona and also competent to handle it. Today we are sitting still. I don't know with what kind of rest, but we are sitting without masks. And many of us are there wearing it. That's fine, but by and large, even I feel confident, though I have been a victim of it myself. But now we manage it, more or less it seems. Never know the future. So we have become conscious and competent both. So starting with unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence to conscious competence. We have become conscious of corona. We can handle, we are not so afraid of Omicron. Also, we can say that it's a media hype and we can manage it. It's not causing that. We'll see to it that hospital facilities are available, and especially in Kerala, we have hospital facilities which have managed. We never fell short of oxygen here. We will not fall short of those beds that are required. So we have been able to now consciously be competent to handle it. Now, corona is not the only problem in life. You have saved the life. What about livelihood, you say? We have to still look out for jobs. We have to look out for avenues of working so that I can earn a living. All clear this question? Then we move to the human race grows up in learning. Okay, now we have become so consciously competent that now we can be unconsciously handling corona. So you again become unconsciously competent to handle corona. There is bandwidth available for you to deal with livelihood issues. That is how human grows. Human growth takes place, learning takes place in this stage. All of us. Nobody learns or comes learn it. I don't know, there are a few Abhimanyus, maybe amongst us, who have known part of it. He also was incomplete knowledge anyway. So the point is, nobody learns from the time he or she is born. We all learn. And therefore, learning is the important issue today for future fit leadership. Then, most important issue is that don't succumb. Just choose to transform yourself, because the level of current knowledge will not take you there. Linearity is direct death. There has to be a new knowledge source, new paradigms, new models, new belief systems, new behaviors, and new ways of doing it. Old will not work. Not that old was bad. Old was not handled well. It was well handled. But there was context. Now the context has changed. There was still some level of predictability in the old system. And we all developed our leadership principles, Lean Sigma, Six Sigma, balanced scorecard. All that we did to make it accurate, as much accurate as possible. There was strategic planning. And we thought that a good manager is a person who can plan better. But you could plan because you could predict at least 75% of it. Now you cannot plan because you don't have that 75% luxury. So you have to prepare yourself. So coming to learning now. So far it's very simple. Everybody has understood. How does human growth take place? From unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. Third level of conscious competence, and then unconscious competence. You don't have to remember your name. You don't have to remember tables of 2 and 3 and 4 or 5. I think beyond 9 or 8, everybody would have forgotten probably, but at least you know the table of 2, 3. Don't have to remember. That's unconsciously competent. Certain domain knowledge that you will have of the areas that you have been masters of, or bachelors of, or whatever, you all are good students, you have qualified, so you know that. But what is more important is that you become unconsciously competent in handling those things. But now there are certain other things you have to pick up, and that's how human learning takes. So people say we have to be learner, like this is what is meant. You have to be prepared for a four-stage growth. It's not a linear process. You have to agree to transform, and every transformation takes you to a next level of knowledge and awareness. And then you build on you take kind of technology, you take kind of training on it, and then you practice it. And that's how learning takes. This is a very important lesson. Is it clear? This model of ATP model is called awareness, training, and practice model of learning. We all learn like that. No exception. There are very few geniuses amongst us who do it the other way around, and most of us do it like this. And remember the beauty of learning. In today's world, what happens in a future fit world? You have to remain learner throughout your life, and learners will inherit the earth. Only learners will inherit the future. They will inherit the earth. Those who think that they are learned will inherit a place which they are beautifully equipped to handle, but then that place doesn't exist. Are you getting the point? Learners will inherit the earth of the future. Those who think that they are learned and whatever is known today will be equipped to handle the world that is not existing anymore. So is there any doubt about being a learner now? You understand what learning means, what learner is? People speak it very loosely. All over the world, people talk about you have to be learner, but nobody explains like this is the step-by-step approach to learning. Then remain. If you have to be a learner, you have to actually take that cognizance, take that determination to transform yourself. Can you keep the time? Half an hour. I think that's the other one. So far, how has it been so far? Is it making sense to all of you? I didn't hear anything from there. The girls, boys there in the back. Is it making sense or not? Yes or no? Yes or no? That's better. Come on, keep the energy. I'm at least three times elder to you. I'm in my 60s, you guys are in your 20s. Keep that energy. Huh? Energy is important because then you'll absorb. So now, learning is over. And I told you how future takes place. Only 10 to 10% of old things will remain. So therefore, if you have to remain relevant to the future, you have to be adaptive. Now, how do you get this adaptive? What is this adaptability all about? Adaptability can be achieved through 3 or 4 major pillars of adaptability. First of all, you have to accept that there is change, continual change happening, and adaptability is required. So first thing is to accept that. Because most of us reject it. I know it all. And remember, when people now say, I know it all, what it means? That that person would be good at doing things that no longer exist. So you can be very happy about it. But if you are learned, then you are out of my competition. So learning actually becomes a context in which, you can differentiate between people and what's going to happen to you. And you have to remain adaptive. You have to accept that, yes, there is a scope for you to change and adapt. The other is, and I was discussing with Mr. Ravi this morning, the biggest thing is that you have to give up control. You have to give up control. What happens in the current context, we all think that by controlling, I can manage. It's not possible because this technology that is developing and all the disruption that's happening around solar technology, the renewable sources of energy emerging, and this whole level of IoTization and IoT of everything, Internet of everything, people, processes, big data, things happening all simultaneously. It is democratized decision making that is relevant today. Wisdom is not available in any single head. It's available here in all of you and all of us taken together. So nobody can direct, and that is the reason why I moved from there to here. There is nobody who's at any level above you. Nobody, we are all at the same level of ignorance. As you said, 0.01% is all that unit of anyways. If I know little less and you know little more, I'm still comfortable with what you know. but my determination to know the learner is important. That will differentiate. If you don't think that you are relevant, you want to learn. So therefore, besides learning, adaptive first thing, this is important. Give up that control. From control to influencing, the whole governance mechanism changes. Democratized decision making means that there will be bottoms up approach. There has to be inclusion. There has to be participation. We have to hear people who have access to information, not direct them from the top because I have authority. We have to empower people who have the information because they have to then take decision fast. They boast. So people in the front line will have to be empowered. So the whole context of this adaptive change. And it means that you have to move away from that control. I know it, I can do it, I can direct others. Even if you can, nobody is going to listen. Be very clear, this is democratized society. Let me conduct a small survey. There's so many of you, 200, 250 of you. Is there anybody, one single person, who will have the audacity to say that I want to be controlled and managed by others? Any one of you who wants to be controlled and managed by others, yes or no? Yes or no? I didn't hear from you. You all yes? You want to be controlled? None of us. How do we think that it's management, human resource management? You can't manage people. Nobody wants to be managed. And therefore, one good thing that you've seen in the institute, and I was talking to Ravi this morning, he's the chief facilitator. You know, that's not without cause or reason. He thinks that he's not a controller, though he is. As a CEO, he has the authority, but he doesn't use it. He says, I'm a facilitator to create an environment of learning and facilitate this process happening in the way it should happen. Gone are the days when I am the controller, auditor general, and this and that. The names may still exist, no longer this controller, auditor general is the controller of things. You're only an accountant, managing things and facilitating. That's all that we do. So three things we have discussed. Adaptive, firstly, acknowledge that there is change and adaptability. The other is learn, grow up learning, relearning, unlearning. They're not things. It's very easy to say that I have to unlearn, relearn. You know, a small example. Just start, if you are a right-hander, just start practicing writing by left hand. It's difficult. It's not that we are born with that ability to write with the right hand. There is no rule or definition that you can only write with the right hand. You couldn't use the left hand, and there are many who write with the left hand. But those who have written with right hand so far, just try doing it with left hand. It's unlearning. And it takes time, it's not easy. But if left hand works, supposing you've broken your fingers, you can still write. That's adapting to writing from your left hand. Cycle. Simple thing like cycle. Now, unlearning and relearning. I have forgotten to write by right hand. Maybe I have practiced left and again, awareness, practice and training. Training and practice will help you. I've given you a formula of learning. What do? 3 levels. You get aware of it, and then you train on it, and then practice. You will learn anything. Anything is possible. This is, by the way, a possible word. And you say, what is a possible word? The earlier word, the pre-2007, was a probability word. Was a word of probability. Of only knowns happening. Because linear transactions were taking place, and in fact it was a linear growth and predictability was there. So you could know these are the knowns, and the unknowns were called what? Ceteris paribus. Other things remaining same, this will happen. P is equal to P, whatever it is, and if the B remains the constant availability, which is constant. All that kind of computation was possible in science and mathematics. But today the unknowns have become more. Unknowns occur more often, which is of course called by various names. They call it the black swan event and all those kind of things. Don't get into that. That's a little complicated. But the point is that unknowns are happening, and theory of probability cannot handle unknowns. Therefore, you have to take into account the possibility of anything happening. But then you say, if anything is possible, how do I prepare? You can prepare if anything is possible. Yes, it's true that anything is possible, but then that's good news. You know good news why? Because the reverse is also true. If everything is possible or anything is possible, there's nothing which is not possible. You get my point? Yes or no? Did you realize this? When you say anything is possible, that means nothing is impossible. There is no problem in life. It can all be controlled. Provided you know the method to do it, you have an umbrella for it, and don't bother about what you can't control. Give up control anyways in this new adaptive. So when you say adapting, you've done learning, you've used unlearning and relearning. Now just try writing again with right hand once you have written with left. You'll find it again difficult. Or then write with both the hands is relearning. Ambidextrous, people call it. You write with both hands. So you have learned to write with right, you unlearn write with left, and then relearn write with both. Try to understand the words, it's very important. When you say adaptive, you have to understand. And then have the courage to stay with adaptive. You know, that's the courage, that's the fourth part of adaptive. So now you understand what is future fit would be if you are adaptable and adaptive. And there is a peculiar problem here with adaptiveness. In the current context, we know it all, we know technology is godlike. We understand the current, every part of brain cell, every microbial change that's taking place, every neural firing in your brain can be understood and evaluated and presented in the report format. Therefore, this is the known world. We can exploit the known knowledge. In a world which is world of probability, where things are taking place slowly, you can exploit that. You can exploit the resources available on Mother Earth. You can know the technology, you can know all the processes, you can be master of it. This is a technical issue only for you. If there is a problem, you know the method. If there is a heart problem, you know the surgeon, you know the problem could be like this. Even if it's a cancer, there could be a process, it could be solved. You know the doctor. So everything is known. And it is possible, just a matter of time, it can be handled. Am I right? But imagine a situation where you do not know you are a Columbus out in the ocean. From exploitation, you move to exploration. You have to explore the world of future. So future fitness would be available to you if you are adapting to the world by observing, experiencing it, imagining things, and then configuring it. So the tools of the world of exploitation, where you know things, where you can know it, you can just decipher everything, to the world of possibility, where you are a Columbus. You don't know what you don't know the next step. 10 miles away, you don't know where you are, even the direction is possibly not known at that time. This is called future fit leadership and adaptability. You have to become an explorer, from exploitation to exploration. And the tools are no longer analytic and strategic thinking. It becomes, you have to create strategy of your structure of the body. The mental nodes have to be made into a strategy. You have to get that cognitive flexibility, you have to get that creativity, you have to get that critical thinking, you have to develop that complex problem-solving solution methodology in your mind. And you have to be adaptive and comfortable with it. We call the VUCA word VUCA. You can change that from VUCA, which is volatile, you don't see. But you have to find a method in the madness. You can create a vision, you can change from volatility to vision. And vision means you know that what are the filters that are applied. I see things as they are. I have to be having that discerning capability. I must have that capability of hearing the silent voice of silence even. The silent voice of silence I must be able to hear. Ascertaining the patterns, and now we will have to listen, not just hear. There are many of you who may be just hearing me. But if you listen, there's a difference. You may be seeing me, but you have to observe. When you listen and observe, you are being a Columbus. You are learning. You are internalizing. So that is, in fact, the way in which your adaptiveness becomes real. It's possible. Does that make sense now? Adaptive, we are done. Now, agility. Why agility? There is a lot of, ambiguity around whatever is happening. We say there's so many problems, simultaneity, and no sequentiality, the magnitude and complexity of change is among us. How do I? So agility, and what is, in fact, the competence. You know what is competence, by the way? Competence has 3 to 4 elements, and I call it 4. Conventionally, competence is supposed to be you have the domain skill. Remember, Mr. Jones talked about the domain knowledge. You have to have that skill, that domain knowledge. Then the skill to do it. You know computer programming, but you must know the skill to handle computers also. And the third thing is your attitude. Or it is that attitude is the most important thing. What would be the attitude you think should be in the futuristic leader? Come on, one by one. Anybody can guess. What should be the leader you want to become? Or you want any particular person to be followed? What would be the attitude that you look for in a leader in futuristic sense? Yes, all of you. Anybody can say. Adaptive. Come on, go ahead. Empathetic. Very good. What else? Come on, it's not rocket science. Competent. Okay. But competence is too many things together. So, what kind of attitude I'm talking about? Confidence. What else? Come on this side. You're losing out. Influence, coordination, collaboration. A non-competitive, yes, because when you say in adaptive world, the godlike technology you have, there's no need for you to be competitive. You don't have to just think of a larger size of the pie in the cake. You can increase the size of the cake and collaborate. There is no need. Competition is over. Theory of probability is over. The whole new consciousness has emerged about abundance when you're using renewable source of energy and the supersonic jets, in fact, being run on maybe biofuels. When you have an autonomous car regime where there is driverless cars being driven and through renewable source of energy, there is an abundance available. Solar energy is in abundance. There is no shortage of fossil fuel. Fossil fuel gave us the spirit of scarcity, competition, critical, being selfish. The new consciousness is different in today's context. We have to think about survival of the globe, the earth. So biospheric consciousness has to emerge in all of you. You have to be conscious of it. I said three things: technology changing, complex society changing, and Mother Earth being exploited. And you have to explore through exploitation, and exploration has to now be compared. We have exploited and extricated. That's the extricating. Extrication and exploitation was what we did with the Mother Earth. We have to change to restoration and responsiveness and regeneration. We don't talk of productivity, we talk of regenerativity. That is the change consciousness. So when I talk about competence, attitude of abundance, attitude of collaboration, attitude of not thinking of a constraint but always finding a potential. Not being subdued by a crisis that I don't know, not surrendering, choosing to transform, grow yourself. That is what is the change consciousness. That will make your attitude very confident. So you'll have the domain knowledge, you have to know programming, coding, and everything, this thing maybe you have to know, but the problem is that alone will not be enough. You have to have an attitude, and most above all, when you're dealing with agility, you have to learn to respond in reaction time, but you have to develop your competence to have the right value sets. Remember those values of integrity, honesty, truthfulness, alignment, helpfulness. All of you said it. Influencing, not power, not authority, but influencing. Those are the values that you have. So, domain knowledge, skills, attitude, and what else? Values. I think you guys are not paying attention. Or you are going too fast. Am I going too fast? Then why don't you respond? It's you. Remember, you have to carry your umbrella. You can't blame me that I went too fast. If I went, you can slow me down. But if you still don't stop me, then I have the prerogative to go ahead to the same place. So friends, this is the time of the hour. Don't feel, you have to wake up. It's a beautiful place. It's a very energizing place. You have to actually, you've got an opportunity just to come here after years of, homesickness probably. That digital fatigue you would have felt, interacting with people. I don't see this energy right now. Are you energized? Are you energized? That's better, so keep that momentum up. So now, we talked about agility is basically be comfortable with everything. So volatility could be vision. So you remove all your biases and filters and see things that you are. Get that capacity and competence, capability. When it's uncertain, then you have to develop that understanding. Understanding that there's a cultural change, this whole digital divide, generational differences are there. You people, if supposing I ask you, and I don't need to ask because I keep dealing with students, I deal with 23 million students on my platform, 2.3 million students, 23 lakh students, and they keep on telling that we expect the workplace to be. Can you tell me, how do you expect the workplace to be? What is your expectation of work? There should be fun, freedom, flexibility. Am I right? Now, in our times, you'll agree this was not even considered work. If I were to go back and tell my dad that I want fun, flexibility, and freedom at work, he says, son, don't work. That's not work. So this is how you have to understand what has changed. This is your digital, scenario. This is where quick dispensation probably is something that we've always do. Of course, control that. Control that consumerist mindset, mind you. That's one thing. Don't get flawed by this technology, which is very disruptive. It's also very infectious. It's also very persuasive to you. It downgrades you, by the way. It forces you to purchase things that they want you to purchase, not that you want it. So you end up buying things that you don't need with the money that most of us don't always have to impress people that don't matter to you. You buy things you don't need with the money that you don't have to impress people that don't matter. This is the new consciousness. You have to save yourself also from technology. Godlike technology is very, very, downgrading humans also. So we have to control. We have to press the right button. Don't be a digital servant of technology. Be the master. Try to drive the driverless car. I will say, how can I drive a driverless car? Autonomous car cannot be driven. Yes, not by controlling the steering. Give up the control, I said, if you have to adaptive, but control the destination of the car. Where it takes you to. You be the master of the car technology. Don't succumb to this whole kind of, persuasive technological pressure. It downgrades humans. It shortens your attention span. As Satyanand is telling, in fact, it shortens your span of control, its attention time. It creates, perversity of seeking social validation. How do I look? How many likes? How many dislikes? Don't get lost in these things. Those people don't matter. It's creating, polarization. It's creating outrage. It's creating a post-truth world. That's one thing about technology, but agility. You have to be comfortable with uncertainty too. You have to develop understanding of what you have. See, for complexity, you have to have connections. Right connections to know where you can know things from, how you can do it from, learning, adapting, upgrading, modifying, changing. And ambiguity, you have to learn to be comfortable. Taking decisions in a state of semi-dark knowledge, a complete light will never be available. So you have a transformative model for VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, to vision, to understanding, to connections, and A stands for adaptability, with agility and audacity. Now that is the simplified version to manage the future. That we do not know, but we can plan if we have this understanding of the world. And mind you, friends, the most important aspect was exploitation to exploit. The rules of the game are not only just different, the game is different. If you have to remain relevant to the future, you have to subscribe to this. So I think we still have about 10-15 minutes for the question answer. I think now at least, let me see, you're still awake, you heard something. I could go on like this, for another hour or two. I have no problems. Usually I don't need lunch here. But you guys don't. I'm sure I'm standing between you and lunch. But if you have questions, I'm here to answer. Yeah, that's what he said. See, the echo chamber is what? That you are just speaking the same thing, You get lost into your echo chamber. You hear your own voice. You love to hear your own voice. People who are exactly saying the same thing that you want to hear. You don't see things as they are or they should be. So the thing is that you have to develop that discerning capability. You have to develop that understanding. You have to remove the filters, the biases that you have. That's how you have to always be ready to do that. To do anything, how to do it, stay out of it. Who asked you to get into the box? People say, let's get into the box. Stay out of the box. Who the hell asked you to get into the box first? And then just consider the box doesn't exist. Because if you stay in the box, The echo chamber, what you're doing, you're downloading things only. If you are continuing to exploit what you know, you really download it. You are only downloading, you are not reinventing anything. Wherein here you have to revisit, you have to revise, you have to reframe, you have to modify, you have to kind of, re-energize, re-adapt, reinvent yourself. Times are when, if you live in the echo chamber, the statistics show that 70% of your students, in fact, of that category in group, by the time you will be 30, you will have changed the trajectory of your work. You are a graduate in law or politics or engineering, some kind of, and you will be doing painting, you could be doing poetry, you could be doing anything, sales or whatever. That's to about 70% of the population of your age globally. So there's nothing called holding back. As somebody said, that there's nothing called you start your job and you retire at 60, nothing, you'll have to change it, reinvent yourself all the time. And therefore, one of the most important things to see out of the chamber would be develop that emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean that you are superior to others, but you manage your emotions, understand others, understand relationships, and understand the fact that you have to change and be comfortable, because change is not easy. But remember, if you don't change, not necessarily that every time you change you succeed. But if you don't change, then you are increasing your possibilities of failure. And that's the plan. Does that answer your question? Yes? If you don't have questions, I can assume two things. You're not bothered, A, which I'm sad about, or you are hungry for lunch, I'm happy. Let's go. What is it? Lunch or? Lunch. Okay. When did you have your breakfast? What time? 8 o'clock. Not bad. I had it at 7:30. Anyway, that's good. So if you don't have any questions, thank you very much. Beg your pardon? VUCA. So VUCA is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. People say that this world is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Life was always VUCA. We took it to be, you people who all have done science. Now I'll ask you a question. Not engineering I was asking basic science till say 10th class. All of you have done it? Yes or no? You've done science, you understand Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, right? So life is uncertain, even atoms, the movement is uncertain. So how can we be uncertain about life? We assume that was the wrong assumption. Even Gödel created mathematics theory, and he said the incompleteness theory of mathematics. There's nothing called, you will never reach a conclusion in mathematics. There will always be a paradox at the end. And Einstein talked about relativity. World was never certain. The pace was manageable, that's all. Now the pace is unmanageable. And therefore there are new ways in which adaptive agility, and your audacious means you have to go out of your way, you have to have the daring to do it. It's a world of possibility. There's nothing impossible. So that's the big picture that you have to have. You have to have the big picture and small details together. You have to develop in yourself the confidence to say that there is a level playing field, but I will find a new angle. For you, the shortest distance between 2 points should not be a straight line, but a learning curve. Learn it fast. There's no thing called black and white. There are shades of gray. You have to deal with it all. Don't carry assumptions. Don't carry the baggage. Live, as I say, travel life with no mental baggage of the past. Get the benefit of the past. Don't get burdened by it. These are the rules of the game. These are the methods in which you can overcome this ambiguity, volatility, uncertainty. So called. To vision, as I said, to you means what? Let me check now. Volatility to vision, yes. And you understanding. That's good now. That makes me happy. Let's clap for ourselves. What is the connections? Yes, you guys are very good at it. Social connections, everything, collaboration, all that skills. You can put up care, concern, compassion, empathy, all that. And what is the concern? Now you guys are real graduates. Clap for yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Kindly accept the vote of appreciation on behalf of Teachers Line family. For that, I invite Ms. Asha Thomas Penn to hand over the memento to Mr. Rajiv Badri. Ma'am, please.
I love being with children, but children were not with me. Huh? You are there with me or no? Yes or no? No. No.
Now it's time for the lunch. Please assemble back at amphitheater at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Students, before, I could see some of the students without the blazer. Now we have a group photograph. If you want to, if you think you need to look good, please come back because we take the photograph. We are seated there and fill in all the seats. So we can all stand there and get a wonderful picture with all the wonderful people present here. So come back by 1:50. Is that okay? All right? Thank you. You take care.